Basically, when you're learning about real estate, there's two things that you want to understand when somebody's talking to you about what they're doing. What is the asset and what is the process they're using? It will help clarify for you what is the map of real estate. I am Christina Suter, and this is the Real Estate Breakthrough Show, where we talk about the reality of real estate, the mindset you need in order to face the reality of what it is, and tips and tricks to get you moving forward in investing. I am your host, Christina Suter. Today, I want to talk about real estate education. Your education makes a direct difference in your investing success. You don't have to go very far to understand that education, you go to the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book, we all know, right? Literally, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that is the name of the book. And he talks directly about how your education affects your risk tolerance directly. It also affects your level of success in that particular asset class. So I want to talk specifically about what I call the map of real estate. Now, this is my map, just so you know. It's not like I've gotten it from somebody else, or that this is like available on Google in general, or that I looked this up on Zoom, or not Zoom, on Google itself in researching, or Bing. It's a map I've come up with in my way of understanding real estate. So I want to walk you through this. And if you're listening to this as an audio, it is best if you try to go to YouTube and you try to find it under Christina Suter. You try to find it on YouTube, because there is a visual element to this particular educational segment. So let's get to it. Okay, so I call this the overview of real estate. There's a lot of pieces of real estate. You could be a management company. You could own a building. It could be a commercial building. It could be an office building. It could be a multifamily. You could be renting out buildings. You could be owning rentals. You could have your own single family residence, which is your residential, which could be something that you're actually making money on because you're Airbnb-ing the back unit, or you're Airbnb-ing bedrooms inside of it and living in the living room, which I actually have people, I know people who do. You could be buying something, managing it. You can see how there is so many pieces of real estate that having an overview of real estate can be really kind of confusing. And it's kind of like the shiny object syndrome. It's like, what do I invest in first? Well, first, if you're a new investor, my suggestion always is go to one real estate meeting a week for 6 months. 4 times 6 is 24 meetings. So hopefully you're going to at least 24 meetings to get a sense of what is involved in real estate. A lot of people think of real estate as I buy a single family residence and I rent that residence out. Or I buy a multifamily residence and I rent out the units in the multifamily. For some people, that's their complete understanding of real estate. Real estate is so much more than that. Real estate is buying notes secured by real estate. It's flipping real estate. It's buying and selling real estate, wholesaling or a real estate agent. It's doing syndication deals. It's owning storage units directly or with a partnership or inside of a fund. There are so many ways to participate in real estate. I'm going to try to simplify it a little bit today, just to give you a quick overview and maybe a grounding in how you can think about real estate as a field, and maybe get a little less confused, but you still have the shiny object problem. I can't help you with that one until later. But right now, let's do the overview of real estate. So, map of real estate is what I call it. There's your standard single family residence. Pretty straightforward. It's an asset class we're all pretty familiar with. There's your multifamily residence. Okay, another asset class we're all pretty familiar with. We know what an apartment building is, whether it's a small apartment building with 4 units or 5 units, or whether it's a large apartment building with 300 units. There are notes. That means a note, a promissory note, a deed of trust, right? A mortgage that is secured by a piece of real estate. That's a note. There are syndication deals, otherwise known as funds, where there is a syndicator that is running a larger investment portfolio and or a large investment, might be a large single multi-unit, and you give them a piece of money along with 30 other investors that you give a piece of the money to, and he uses that 30 investors' money and some bank money to buy a large apartment building, or to buy several apartment buildings. It depends upon the agreement that you, the investor, sign, and what the agreement says the general manager or the syndicator is allowed to do. It's a little like a stock in a company, but you can't sell it like a stock. So it's not good to think of it that way, but it's a little like that in that it's a small piece of a larger company. You don't get a lot of voting rights like a regular stock. Your opinion doesn't matter for much. Your due diligence is all up front. It is a very good asset to have inside of your portfolio when you're looking for diversification away from maybe multiple single families or multiple apartment buildings, and you're looking for a way to get into an asset class you're not that familiar with. Mobile home parks, storage units. Well, you can give $20,000 or $100,000 to somebody who is an expert, and you're securitized inside of a fund. That's called a syndication. There's also commercial real estate. Now, in commercial real estate, there are lots of different asset classes. I lumped them together because most people think of multifamily as separate from commercial, when really it's not. Commercial real estate is industrial buildings, office buildings, retail buildings, and officially multifamily buildings. So what have I got? I've kind of got 5 basic categories in my brain that I'm dividing my real estate into in my knowledge, in my base. I've got a single family, we're all familiar with that. Multifamily, otherwise known as, right, an apartment building. Notes, which are secured by real estate, might be any kind of real estate, could be a storage unit, but it's a note that's secured by real estate. I have the opportunity to invest in a larger company doing real estate, which is known as a syndication deal or a fund. And then I have a commercial building, which I could buy, which might be retail, might be McDonald's, might be a Jack in the Box, might be a place that holds a Starbucks, or it might be a strip mall that has a nail salon in it, or it could be an office building like downtown LA, or it could be a mobile home park, or it could be a storage unit. Those are commercial. Now, I'm just describing the asset. What I'm trying to map in your brain is a way to map the field of real estate to understand when you go see all these people talk about it, that there are some core assets. Now, that is not the end of your knowledge. That might be the basic assets in real estate, but it's not the end of what you need to understand, because there is the process in which you approach the asset. The process in which you approach the asset. Let's start with single family. So in single family, I can hold it for rental. I can flip it. I can wholesale it. I can buy the note of default on it, or buy it out of foreclosure as a short sale, or I can buy it from somebody's probate. I can buy it from somebody who has passed away and it's being sold by the lawyer who's managing their probate, or by the family member that's managing their probate. I am buying a single family. I'm approaching that single family from multiple directions. I have an asset and I have a process associated with the asset. Okay, I can flip it. I can wholesale it. I can do notice of default. I can buy notice of defaults. I can buy probates. Right? I can buy it out of default. I can buy probate. Okay, wait a minute. Now I have a multifamily. Oh, wait a minute. I can wholesale a multifamily. I can buy it and sell it to somebody else very quickly, or I can take it from this person to that person and get a fee for it. That's wholesaling. I find it over here. I get this person over here to buy it, and I get a fee for being that person that's arranged that. That's wholesaling. I can flip it. I can value add to it. I can buy it. I can upgrade the tenants. I can upgrade the units. I can get more cash flow out of it, and then I can sell it again. That's called flipping. I can buy it out of somebody's estate, out of probate, and maybe I get a deal on it because maybe it hasn't been managed very well, and I can buy it out of probate, or I can buy it because it's up for short sale, or it's up as a foreclosure, a notice of default. Wait a minute, that's a very different. I had a single family I could do all these things with. Now I have a multifamily. I can do all the same things with it. I can be an expert in a process. I can be an expert in an asset, right? I'm an expert in residential, single family or multifamily. Primarily the processes I've done are flipping, notes against that, owning and renting. I have bought out of probates. I have flipped. I have not wholesaled. So one thing the process I haven't done with a single family residence or a multi-unit, which are residential, is I have not done wholesaling, but I've done lot splits. I've done condo conversion, and I've done rentals, and I've done flipping. So I've done 4 different approaches, and notes, 5 different approaches to one set of assets. Let's keep going. Commercial, you know what? Regardless of which asset it is, I can do the same thing in commercial. I can flip an industrial park. I can flip a mobile home park. I can wholesale, have a seller over here, find a buyer over here, a commercial building. It can be industrial, it can be retail, and I can send it from this person to that person and get a fee for it. I can buy that asset out of a probate, or I can buy that asset once it actually has a short sale foreclosure on it. Notice, asset, process. Now it gets a little more foggy. Notes. Notes are secured by real estate. So note, in a way, is a process that could be securitized, right? Be attached to almost any one of these forms of real estate. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. It could be attached to a single family, it could be attached to a multifamily, it could be attached to a commercial, but then the note itself is sometimes in different stages. It could be a hard money note. I'm lending money to a flipper. It could be private equity. I've got somebody who wants to buy a home and they don't have the equity in which to buy the down payment. I can give them equity in the down payment. I can buy that note discounted. So I buy it discounted from its face value. It's worth $100,000. I buy it for $80,000. That's a discounted note. I can buy a note that's non-performing, i.e. the person who is the payee on the note isn't paying the note. That's a non-performing note. Or I can buy a performing note at face value. It's worth $100,000. I'm buying it at $100,000. I can also buy something called fractionalized notes, but we won't go into that right now. But I have an asset called a note, and I have a process associated with that note. That note is securitized to an asset in real estate. Oh, one more, syndications. Syndications can be against any one of these assets. I can have my syndicator could be doing single families. My syndicator could be doing multifamily. My syndicator could be doing elderly care. My syndicator could be doing office buildings. As a matter of fact, that syndication might have several assets in it with the same approach, or several assets in it with a different approach per asset. So to try to simplify this, I went through a lot of detail to let you know, basically, when you're learning about real estate, there's 2 things that you want to understand when somebody's talking to you about what they're doing. What is the asset and what is the process they're using? It will help clarify for you what is the map of real estate. So I want to thank you so much for listening. I am Christina Suter, the Real Estate Breakthrough Show. Tune in next week for another educational segment.